Welcome back. Civil society organizations now want Parliament to ensure that election campaign regulations are put in place before the August 9, 2022 elections. Speaking in Nairobi on Sunday, the group faulted the National Assembly's Committee on Delegated Legislation for wrongly accusing IEBC of contravening the law by setting spending limits, adding that the Commission had done what was within its powers. Kevin Ogutu with that report.
Several civil society organizations have now collectively weighed in on the raging debate of capping campaigns' expenditure.
Election observation reports and expert analysis over the years have highlighted the need to cap spending limits as a measure of lowering electioneering costs so that a level playing field for effective participation by Kenyans in the elections, either as voters or as candidates, is achieved. Unmitigated sources of money and uncontrolled spending continue to disenfranchise voters and candidates in the electoral processes. Wide income disparities between the rich and the poor have further conspired to make the opportunity of submitting oneself as a candidate for political office a reserve of the well-to-do economically and the well-resourced.
On Wednesday, August 13th, IEBC appeared before the National Assembly's Committee on Delegated Legislations to defend the move to cap campaign spending in the 2022 general election. And now, civil society organizations have thrown their weight behind the Commission.
That the IEBC acted within its mandate in tabling the spending limits as prescribed under Sections 12, 18, and 19 of the Election Campaign Financing Act 2013. This is what the Commission did this week on the 9th day of August 2021. Some of the arguments coming from different political quarters seems to suggest that IEBC requires the approval of Parliament to release the Gazette notice on the spending limits. Nothing can be further from the truth.
The CSOs want Parliament to discharge its duties without fault-finding.
Parliament needs to speedily consider and enact the Election Campaign Financing Amendment Bill 2020, which seeks to address concerns raised by Parliament in 2017, whereof they cited the Act as unimplementable. Notably, these two would have informed further review of the 2016 regulations.
The rallying call from the civil society organizations is that the regulations capping campaigns' expenditure should be in place. They say that if Parliament feels IEBC ad, then the discussion should be about what should be done moving forward.
Now that the IEBC has published those spending limits, what can Parliament do to ensure that that is achieved? And one of the things which my colleague has talked about is an engagement in terms of the limits. So it can have a discussion. You can have a discussion. Their limits are already published, but you can have a discussion in terms of those limits because IEBC has the powers to vary them.
The Committee on Delegated Legislations is expected to table its report next week on the floor of the Assembly, following its meeting with the IEBC officials on Wednesday. Kevin Ogutu, KTN News.
As Oka sister parties of ANC, Ford Kenya, Wiper and KANU congregate in Naivasha to explore their political future, KANU Secretary General Nick Salat has called out hard stance by some principals on who to fly the coalition's flag in next year's presidential polls. Salat says the coalition